J.T. Crowley is Talking Books. On the show, you'll hear from emerging talent and seasoned veterans from around the world. They'll give you their take on the writing process and how to create the secret sauce of page-turning deliciousness. Let's get into that magical mixture of the art and science of creativity. Here's J.T. Crowley, author of The Smart Kids, and your podcast host.
Hello, I'm J.T. Crowley, and today on my show I'm delighted to invite Andrew David Everstine, an American author from Woodbridge, Virginia, about his book, his children's book, A Dandelion, a story that touches on the sensitive topic of flowerism. It's a book that tells the story to very young children about issues that we all see going on around us every day in our lives. Judgments being made on looks and prejudices by people. And yes, we all do it at times, unconsciously, and at other times quite purposefully. But in this book of Andrew's, he uses flowers as the main characters as opposed to humans. And he's done this to get his message across. And for me, this made this book endearing, wonderful. And when you look at the wonderful, vibrant, vivacious illustrations that accompany the text, it is absolutely amazing, everybody. So, but Andrew has been writing books now for just shy of 3 decades. And this book, A Dandelion, isn't the only book he's written, everybody. He has written 8 other books. And whilst they are aimed at children, but those books are more, for older children, going into young adulthood. But this book is for very young, probably somewhere around about 4 to 7-year-olds, depending on their reading ability. And of course, if a grandparent or a parent wants to sit and read the book with them, that is just as acceptable. So let's stop me waffling and let's invite Andrew on to talk about his book, A Dandelion. Andrew, come and join me.
Thanks, John. It's really great to be here. I'm honored.
Andrew, I know where the concept of this storyline came from and why you had to put flowers as the characters. Would you care to share with the listeners and viewers where the original idea came from?
Yes, it came from my daughter. She was 3 at the time, and she said, "Tell me a story, Daddy." And I said, "Okay, but you have to give me the title." And she just simply said, "A Dandelion." And I just rolled with the side to tell it like it was old hat. I just rolled with it, and it just came out and flowed out just wonderfully.
So why did you choose to talk about the issues that form the basis of your book? Now, in your pre-notes, you mention judging people on their looks, and that the book addresses racism in a kind way through flowers and beautiful illustrations to capture the vivid imaginations of young minds. Why did you do it this way?
Again, it kind of flowed out that way. And once I told it, I thought that was I built on it. And I added, certain parts, but the way it flowed out was right from the heart. And that's pretty much how it came out.
Did you, when you reflect back on the book, do you think, children, should be conscious of making judgments? I mean, playgrounds, certainly when I was a child, they were places of bullies, and
absolutely,
kids can be awful to each other. So
absolutely.
Do you think we need to educate, young minds about making judgments and racism and being kind to others?
Absolutely. I mean, I agree with you about the playground, and it's brutal. Kids can be a little bit hard on each other. But the positive message, maybe this is the only positive message they the only way they can get it. But that's how it came out.
Because we all know that, a dandelion is if we see dandelions in the garden, we say weeds, don't we?
Yeah. Yes.
And the dandelion looks up at us and says, I'm back again.
That's beautiful, but
it does. You
Yeah.
can throw everything at me, but I will be back a few days later.
Wow, that's brilliant. I've never looked at it like that, but that's great.
So I found it fascinating, when you picked, the main character, Sally as a dandelion. Yes, yeah. To most people, she was a weed, and of course, she was looked upon by all the other flowers, wasn't she?
Yes, and she didn't. The beauty of it is she doesn't realize it until the list for the parties to be posted.
Yeah. Now, you best describe the book as humble, kind, and triumphant. Did you enjoy bringing these attributes to very young minds, to the book?
Absolutely, and I love what the publisher they did. When I have my own thoughts, but when they brought it to life to the page, I don't know, it was like a kid in a candy shop. Like, it was great. I was very happy with how it turned out.
Do you think that the illustrations that are in the book really back up the storyline?
Absolutely. Especially, if I may, on page 12 it's one of my favorite pages. It's a critical moment because Sally's reading the list, see if her name's on it, and she scans it twice, and then not only is her name absent from it, but specifically at the bottom it says no dandelions allowed, and whoever drew that picture who captured that should get a cookie or two.
A cookie?
A cookie.
You're generous. Or two.
I know, I said two.
He's giving cookies out here, everyone.
You get a cookie. Sorry.
It'll be a bit of a long, by the time the cookie gets from Virginia in America to the middle of England here, I think it might have gone off a bit.
We'll put on dry ice. It's fine. Airtight bags. It'll be great.
When I look at the book, Sally Budfield, your main character, she's a kind-hearted soul, and she deserves to be treated fairly. Of course, you put her as a weed, which I've already mentioned. She's the underdog of the flower world because all the other flowers look down on her and they think they're far more superior. But she's clever, isn't she? And she outsmarts all the other flowers who look down on her.
Yes.
Is this deliberate?
Well, perhaps she remembers at one point one critical point, she remembers that her aunt had given her some magical pink powder, and she's blessed with an idea that she can just put it on her disguise the yellow, and no one will have a clue that she's an actual dandelion.
Because she comes up with an interesting name, doesn't she, for what she calls herself?
Yes, correct. That's correct. She gets it works, and she doesn't have an invitation, but then she's blessed with another idea, and she'll just say she by the catering truck, she was going through the kitchen, say she must have gotten lost, and it works, and everyone's kind of like seeing her and kind of like raising an eyebrow, like, what kind of flower did you say she was, and say you are? And she says, yeah, I'm a rare flower from up north. I'm a Yankee carnation. So that would answer your question at that point.
She did. She thought of that one very quickly, everybody.
Yes.
But she had to come in. She couldn't go through the main door. She had to come in through the back door. That's significant as well. She came in through the kitchen, isn't it?
Yes, and she's always, I say she's quick on her buds instead of quick on her feet, quick on her butt. I don't know if you'll get that. Quick on her buds.
Oh yeah, definitely. And when I look at the illustrations, you've already touched on, you've jumped the gun here.
Oh, sorry.
Yes. I like the illustrations on pages 10 and 12. Here you've got on page 10, you've got all the flowers looking to see who's been invited, and all the ones who've been invited the flowers have got a smile on their faces, and the ones that haven't been invited have all got, looking downhearted. And of course, on 12, that illustration is all about no dandelions allowed.
Yes.
They are very powerful illustrations, aren't they?
They really are. I mean, notice that there weren't only dandelions that weren't allowed, but there are some flowers that weren't allowed too, because the flowers that you see on page 10, they're sad that they're not invited, but then the dandelions as well, it kind of gets both of them. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And of course, things don't go to plan, do they?
They do not. They don't. Can I elaborate on that? Would that be okay?
You can elaborate.
Okay. So she gets cornered, and they say that someone says, well, are you a distant relative of the dandelion? Because that really means that you shouldn't be here. And Sally's like a deer in headlights. And then all of a sudden there's an explosion, and then flowers just start pushing each other out of the way and save themselves. And Sally, just always quick on her buds, says, call someone down 911. And she goes back and keeps going back in and getting more flowers and rescues them, while other flowers are just pushing them out of the way.
And of course, the disguise wears off.
Yes,
Don't
correct.
say what happens. Don't say what happens. If you want to know what happens, kids, everybody, you need to go and read the book. Do you know what has captured me is, when I look at the illustrations, they are beautiful, they're bright, they're vivid. And for a children's book, they've got to be that way. They've got to be warm, they've got to be inviting, they've got to be fun, and they've got to be very, very visual. And these illustrations that you worked on with, the illustration team are absolutely, for me, bang on.
Thank you.
Did you enjoy working with the illustration team, creating these, telling them what you wanted? How did you do this?
Great question. So I was able to pick the style of the illustration. So they have like a lot of different, and that one I saw a picture, and it just the way it was only one out of maybe like 25 or whatever different styles. And when I saw that, I was like, that just captured everything. And they started with that, and I said, all right, this is the style I want. But they said, well, we'll start with 3 dandelions. I said, you don't have to go any further. That captures Sally Budfield's soul right there. I even used the cookie line. I said they should get a cookie also. So we're still giving out cookies.
You're still giving the cookies out to everyone.
Absolutely.
So, you've already told us again, he's pre-jumped the questions, everybody, where, the idea of the disguise came from, it was from our aunt's magic potion box, and what the collar was. But I'm fascinated because at the very last line of the book, for me, was very, very poignant. You end the book with the line, and everyone lived humbly ever after.
Yes, that's been throughout all my parables that I've written. I always end that with they don't start once upon a time. They just start once, but then the humbly, because nobody lives happily ever after. But then at the bottom of after that, what you said there, I always put the beginning, because I'm hoping the reader has learned something from that. So I love it.
Sure. I mean, I think when the kids are going to see this book, they're going to love it. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. But I'm going to deviate now, Andrew.
Yes, sir.
Everybody, I did say to you that I'm going to chat about Andrew's other book because he's been writing for 3 decades and there are another 8 books besides this latest one, A Dandelion. But the books are written for older children, everybody. So I'm going to ask Andrew just to tell us what these other books are about.
Okay, so I began writing out of mere boredom at work literally 30 years ago, just this past October 3rd. And it was a poem called Life, and I just was writing poem after poem after poem until I actually came up with the title for the story, Dandelion. Then I did that one, then I did a story, then I did a novel, and then I actually did a screenplay, which I would like to do as a podcast. That's another time. But the books, there's 7 books that I did as a rainbow anthology, and anywhere from Driftwood to as a red book to Anchored as a purple book, and all the different colors in between. But they're all based on water. The titles, except for the Seth and the Hannah. But it can be for young adults, seniors. They're poems with a good message. Mostly books of poetry, but there's a short story named Hannah. That's about a little girl whose parents split up when she's 9. It's all about how it affects her life growing up. Seth is my first novel. He's living in Clinton, Maryland. He writes. He's got a passion for acting. 2 bad influences, Johnny H. and Mike. But he meets Holly, who will change his life. But it's all there's even a chapter in there that how Seth faces 9/11. So that's the Twin Towers, the tragedy that day. So it's kind of a hard question to answer, but it's so much writing embodied into like 8 books in like 4 years. Just kind of came together just because I had written a lot, but it all came together like that.
So yes, you've been writing, say, for 3 decades, but the vast bulk of the books, have come down recently, haven't they?
Well, no, the first 8 came out between 2001 and 2004, actually. And then I've been always trying to break into the children's book field. If I may tell this, my wife is a nanny, and she brought home Shelf Silverstein's A Giving Tree. So it sat on the coffee table all week. And Sunday, I was up early and I had my mug of coffee. I'm like, there's nothing I'd rather do than read this book. I'm like, let me try one more time. And I sent the email to my publisher, and they're like, yes, we do that now. I was like, you have my complete attention. I was like, da, 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 da. So that's how the whole thing started with the second phase of the children's book. Because I've been trying for decades to get into the field, but it's a different animal. You know what I mean?
Oh, it is. It's a very crowded field as well. Andrew, what's next for you in terms of both your own life and your writing career? What's coming up? What's coming down the line?
Well, I have a lot of parables. If the Dandelion does well, and I hope it will, I have another book coming out. It hasn't been submitted yet, but the story is about a little girl. There's 2 sisters that help another little girl with her parents divorcing each other. So through the 2 sisters, they help her out, and that's called a sharing tree. And that's about a special playground. When all the kids are sharing, there's a Japanese maple that changes colors, but the beauty of it is only kids can see the changes in the colors. I'll leave it at that, but I'm hoping that I can get that one out too, because it has a really good message too.
When do you hope to get that one out?
Maybe within a year. That'd be great.
Maybe he'll give me the opportunity, everybody, to do the interview about that book.
It would be my honor. I'll sign on right now.
Andrew, what do you want kids to take away from this book of yours, apart from the pleasure of reading it and admiring the vivid illustrations? You say in your pre-notes prior to coming on the show not to judge people based on their looks alone.
Absolutely. And I would even take out the word alone. I'm sorry, I put the word alone. They shouldn't judge, period. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I mean, I hope they take a positive message, and maybe they can take that message out to the playground and not jump on being a bully. I mean, twice I have been approached to be a bully by a bully, because in sixth grade, there was a boy there, and then he was picking on him, and they walked to me, and he's like, "Yeah, let's go, Andy." I'm like, I go, "What are you doing?" I was like, "What are you doing?" And then he kind of backed away, and then it happened in my workplace too. Years later, director of food services, I won't say where, but I was just happening walking from one department to the other, and he was talking to his assistant, and he goes, "We don't pay you to think, do we?" And I could have jumped on the bully bandwagon then too, but I said, you know what? My ex-boss said that to me. 2 weeks later, I quit. 2 weeks later, that guy was gone. And just saying, twice the bullying thing came up, and I chose. I don't understand. I never got it. But anyway, I'm sorry. That was kind of ad lib there.
Where can people get your book, Andrew, from?
They can either Amazon. I've learned that you have to go into the books and then type in the Andrew Everstine. Just Everstine and a Dandelion. But make sure you're in the book section. BN, Barnes & Noble, BN.com. The letter I and then universe.com. So iUniverse is the publisher. iUniverse.com. Or just Google my name, and sometimes you can even, I've seen a couple pages you can read online. So I don't know how to get there, but if you Google my name, and the books come up. So.
And that's all the books, isn't it? Not just A Dandelion, all your other
Correct.
books as well.
That's correct. Thank you for asking. Yeah, they come up as well. Anything from driftwood to create waves to I can just keep on going. But all 9 books should be listed in some way or other.
So I think this would be a great book, everybody, for young kids, for parents or grandparents to read at bedtime. To sit down with them, or sit on the side of the bed and read the story. But I also think this could be a wonderful Christmas present for a child who loves to be read to, or loves to read on their own. But yes, the books are really aimed at, say, 4 to 7-year-olds, depending on your the child's reading ability. Every child's got a different reading ability. I understand that, and so it can be read to, or they can read themselves. But it could be a wonderful Christmas present, everybody. The illustrations are fabulous. They're bright, they're vivacious. All the flowers on the pages are wonderful. And yes, Sally Bodfield, she's a star.
Yay!
And it just leaves me to say, everybody, Andrew David Everstine, thank you for coming on my show and talking a bit about yourself and your book.
My pleasure.
Andrew Everstine, everyone. I'm JT Crowley, so wherever you are in the world, listening, watching, until next time, stay safe.